All right, what is up, everyone? Divine Hood here. Just wanted to give you guys another update. The last video I made on Friday, I was warning of this possible correction coming based on a couple things, but really looking at the total market cap chart, we came up to a key resistance that has been a pretty big resistance every time, even this during this entire bull phase. This has been respected pretty well. So the way we pumped up to it, I was expecting us to reject from this band for the first time and come back down to the midline around 3.16, 3.18. I believe I drew a little, yeah, I drew something like this that we could see over the next month or two. We could see us come down, correct to the midline, push back up, chop in this band for a little bit more, finally break it, come up to the top where we might be around 4.5 trillion, depending on when we hit it, 4.5 to 5 trillion, and then we could see a longer correction, not the end of the bull market, but a longer correction that might take a little bit longer, maybe a few months or so. All right, and we did confirm bearish divergence here on the daily. Higher highs here, higher highs all the way up, lower highs here. We actually had three drives of it. We had the first top here. We had a second top confirming our first drive of bearish divergence, then a second drive of bearish divergence afterwards. So multiple drives of bear div at the top of a major resistance. We can expect a correction to the downside. And that's why I was just cautioning about taking profits on altcoins and Bitcoin. So let's go to the altcoin total market cap. This is total 3, which is the total market cap excluding ETH and Bitcoin. And you can see we were at a very key resistance level, the top of a pitchfork, that it's been a pretty heavily respected pitchfork for a few months now since those March highs that altcoins hit. And you could see we got to the top of the pitchfork. I said, you guys, Friday, it might be a good day to take profits. I know a lot of people think this is going to run higher, but there is corrections. Even in straight up explosive bull markets, there's corrections, and these corrections can be very explosive because of the amount of liquidations and leverage that's on these exchanges. And you saw today some altcoins crash 20% or more in just a couple hours. So we came up to the top of this pitchfork. We dumped. Now we're in this band now, which was also prior highs. Our last prior highs are now kind of holding as support here. We can see if this is going to continue with strength or if we can chop around within this band for a few days. And I do think if Bitcoin does start losing 95K, we can come back down to the midline here with the altcoins, about 830 billion, depending on when we get there. You know, if it's a quick another flash crash, it could be down to like 820 billion, 816 billion. So we'll have to see how this plays out. We'll have to see if Bitcoin continues to correct, but I think that's highly possible. We can go to the Bitcoin chart now, and you can see here Bitcoin did confirm another drive of bearish divergence on the daily. So we had our first big momentum top out here, which was at this 93, 94K. Then we had another wave, which topped us out here at 99K. We had that little correction, so that's already one drive of bearish divergence. And then we just topped out again, made new highs the last few days with us topping out. You can see money flow starting to top out as well, and triple drive of bearish divergence. It's looking like at a key psychological level of 100K, as well as we have that big weekly log channel, which actually still is very important, but we are still holding above it, so that is key. Actually, we're at it right now, so let me zoom out onto the weekly. You can see it's holding. We're at it right now. So if we close this weekly candle, I know I've said this 3 weeks in a row, but at major resistances like this of trending markets, of like what you consider a bull run or a 5-year trend of Bitcoin, there is going to be some sort of pattern that happens up here, whether that's a reaccumulation pattern or a distribution pattern. So we can expect to see a few weekly candles up within here. We're starting to form a range here, and we can either continue lose it and dump to the downside to the 70s, or we can continue up to that 111K, which is that fib channel that I was showing you guys on Friday. All right, so we're at that now. This is going to be key. Today's close here, if it holds, we wicked above it, but see, we've had 2 flash crash wicks on the daily, but we still haven't opened a new candle below this major log channel support. As long as we're not opening a new candle below it and closing that daily candle below it, Bitcoin is still showing strength, and we still need to, the trend is our friend until the end, so we still need to kind of prioritize longs and prioritize more upside. I still think, though, this correction is here, and this is just the start of it, based on the total market cap chart that I just showed you and the altcoin market cap chart that I showed you. as well as if I'm going to go zoom out to the weekly here, you guys can see on the weekly, we've pretty much confirmed the bearish divergence on the weekly. Now, the momentum wave is topping out. We haven't seen the red dot yet, and we haven't seen the actual momentum drop. Actually, with today, it's looking pretty close. If we close this weekly candle below this log channel, I think it's going to confirm this weekly bearish divergence. Higher highs here, lower highs here, and we might see a bigger correction. Also, money flow starting to top out, roll over, come out. We might see it, you guys. There's a lot of tax loss harvesting and profit taking during the end of the year. People are rebalancing their portfolios, kind of going away for the holidays, and then they start up at the beginning of the new year. So that's something to be aware of here. One more thing I want to show you guys on Bitcoin. It is going to be this macro. This is another pitchfork. So let me get rid of this parallel channel here. And we're going to zoom out here. So this is a very important channel. This is actually what's called an inside channel. So even though this is a weird pull where you're pulling, pivot ones here, pivot twos, the lows of the 2021 bear market, and then the 69K is the third pivot there. But if you turn this into an inside pitchfork, you can see how well it's been respected. Midline here, lower band here, lower band here. It held at the bottom of it, held here. We pumped up to the top of the upper band, chopped around. Midline held here. We pumped up. Finally, we broke through it, dropped to the lower band. We held the lower band as support. As soon as that happened, we reclaimed it, flipped it to support, continued higher. Finally, broke through the band on the second try, which often is on the first try of a band like a major band like this, you will see a rejection, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now in the total market cap chart. I'll go back to that real quick to show you guys. The upper band of this total market cap chart, for the first time we're starting to see it, and we are starting to see the rejection. Oftentimes at the beginning of these charts, you will not break through it on the first try. So that's where we're at there. Let me go back to Bitcoin here. All right, zoomed in on the daily chart here. We're on the daily. So you saw that that last chart was the weekly chart here of Bitcoin. On the daily, pretty much the same thing. The top of this pitchfork is pretty much at the same level as that weekly log channel. And so this 95K-ish level, 95 to 96K, is so important to hold. If we can hold above this, continue to range here, show strength here, and then continue high, we can continue higher, even though we are showing bearish divergences on the daily and the weekly. Sometimes those can take a while to play out, and we can even make one more high, make a triple drive of bearish divergence on the daily. Actually, we already have a triple drive on the daily. We have our high, second drive, third drive bearish divergence on the daily, but we might make a fourth drive, even another lower momentum wave with a move up to that 111K fib level. That is something that I'm watching in a scenario I'm watching. But right now, I am leaning more towards a correction to the downside based off of the bearish divergence on the weekly, bearish divergence on the daily, total market caps and altcoin market cap being at key resistances. So we're just watching for this. Lower time frame here. If I zoom in on a lower time frame, let's go to the 4-hour chart. I'm watching a channel here. Let me go ahead and hide that. All right, so just a little descending channel. I just moved this around a little bit. I had it just from this high here to the next lower high, and I pulled it down to the liquidation wick. This is what I've been kind of looking at, and that's why earlier today when we came down to that midline, I said we were going to see a bounce. We kind of did, but we keep dropping. So another way we can pull this channel is those same levels, but we'll pull it down to this low here. And you can see the midline's been pretty well respected. Once we held the midline, we pumped up to the top. We could drop. What would be kind of nice, actually, is to see a SFP of this low here into the channel midline, which would be pretty nice to see because, as you know, Coinbase did not take the lows of this 90 of this wick here, the 90.6, 90.7, and Bybit did. So we saw with Bybit, and we saw that liquidation grab, that liquidity grab that we did not see on Coinbase. Okay, actually, I'll show you guys this chart real quick too, because this is my Bybit chart, and this is the pitchfork I was posting about all day in the Discord. Earlier today, you can see, let me zoom in on the 1-hour chart. You can see we came up to the top of the, or actually we were here. We came up to the top here earlier today. But once we started, we were holding this pitch, this lower band for a little while. And when we finally started losing it, I was posting in the Discord, let's see if we come up to retest it. If we retest it and reject, we're going to see a flush. And sure enough, we retested it 3 times. I was posting the 5-minute chart. So on the 5-minute here, you could see we were retesting it here, here, and here 3 times. We tried 3 times to get back above. We couldn't get back above. And that's when we had our big flush to our liquidations to the downside. Flushed out some leverage, cleaned up some of those longs, late longers, and we got a little bit of pump up. One key thing, you guys, is we still are holding this pitchfork, except we might be losing it as we're speaking, not quite yet. But we wicked below it a few times, but it is still holding overall. It's still holding. If we go to like the 12-minute, it's still holding here. We did see one close below it, but we got about above it pretty quickly. It looks like it's not going to hold, you guys. It looks like we're going to see a flush to the downside. If we do see that flush to the downside, there's a couple key levels I'm watching. Of course, that 90.7K level. And then if that doesn't hold, 85K is a key SFP. And then there's a daily, I believe, around 87. And the reason why I'm looking at this SFP here is this was the last major key low before that last parabolic move to the upside. And that parabolic move got a lot of people super bullish. I was seeing the fear and greed index at like extreme greed. This is why I was saying that 95K log channel could be the correction, could be the start of a bigger correction. And I still am in that camp where I think a bigger correction could be due here. So if we lose this bullish pitchfork that was created, just, I created this a few days ago based off of this low from high to low. And then you could see it's been really well respected over the past, couple weeks here. If we lose this tonight or tomorrow, which it's looking like, money flow is still looking pretty bad. We have no bullish divergences. I think we might lose this, and I think we might come for these lows again. Well, once again, Bybit took the liquidity on these lows here, but Coinbase did not. So we need to see those lows taken so everyone can get in, so the big boys can get in. So that push to the downside here, if we push to the downside over the next couple days, into the midline, SFP, both the lows come back up, and then we could start looking to see if we're going to hold this and continue higher, or if we're going to see the bigger correction down to the 70s, which I still think is highly probable right now with the weekly bearish divergences confirming, if they confirm this week. All right, that's my update for you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Hope this helps. Peace out, guys.